Eden, are you over 18? Are you 18 and up? And do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes and yes.
All right, cool. What do you disagree with and why?
Reparations.
All right.
And I disagree with reparations because I think people that are paying for it, most people had nothing to do with it. Um, and there's other things we could put tax dollars to.
All right, sure. Um, Let me ask you this question: if the government damages something, should they fix it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the government damages the black community. Why shouldn't they fix that?
Well, I think there's been a buildup over time that they've somewhat fixed the black community. But again, that also is like, there's some Chinese old lady that's going to start paying her tax dollars for some black guy that had nothing to do with slavery. I think that's just like, I don't see that to be, you know good. I don't see that to be a saving. I don't see that to be like a good use of our tax dollars at all.
All right, so it wouldn't be a good use of our tax dollars to repair a community that was damaged by both private and public interests. That wouldn't be a good use of our tax dollars, especially a community that not only contributes to America, but because we spend a lot of our debt servicing the poverty, helping them get out of poverty would actually be better for America. So it sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, but it's like I don't see why you guys need like what is it like $1,000 a month? Like what are we talking here? Like I don't see how much money can actually help somebody to the point where they can get out of poverty. This seems like a lot of money, and I don't see that to be a good thing at all. Like how much are we talking here?
Well, the amount from poverty to redlining is a pretty substantial amount. The lowest I've heard was about $10 trillion.
Yeah. So, wait. So, I don't think you know how much that is. Like, that's a lot of money, dude. I
Yeah, of
mean,
course, it's a lot of money. No,
you
no
think
one
we
denies that.
should
No one denies
spend
it's.
most of our budget on reparations?
Yeah, no one denies it's a lot of money. I don't deny that.
Okay, so I don't see how we're even gonna do that. On top of that, how like I would say good it is for the people that are paying these tax dollars. And most of these people had nothing to do with any oppression of black people. And on top of that, the
Hmm.
people getting the money don't usually the a lot of black people didn't even go through a lot of this stuff. So I mean, what are
Okay.
we
Well,
what are we
there,
saying?
there several things. Number one, you don't necessarily have to go through it in order for it to affect you, right? For example, do you know about redlining?
Yeah,
Yeah. So redlining still affects the black community today, doesn't it?
sure.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
So you don't have
I'll
to necessarily
grant
have
you
to.
that.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily have to go through something for it to still affect you and for it to be rectified. But the second thing I'll say is that we already have precedents for this. Like we gave reparations to the Japanese, and when it comes to black people, it's a problem all of a sudden. Why?
I think it's the timing. I would never have an issue with, if the reparations came through when slavery was abolished right then and there. I wouldn't really have an issue. But, at the same time, that was some like 200 and something years ago or some shit like that. And now you guys are asking for something. And it's like, there's been so much buildup. And, all these immigrants, build up their communities without anything. I mean, what's it? What is it?
So have
What?
black people, but every time black people did build up their community, what happened to it?
CIA.
Yeah. So other communities were allowed to build up their communities unimpeded. Black people weren't.
I just still don't think that's an excuse. I mean, the thing is that you choose to do that at the end of the day, and the problem with the
Wait, we
black
chose the
community.
CIA?
No. I think it's you choose to do what the CIA gave the black community at the end of the day. But on top of that, when a black person becomes successful in a black community, they normally leave. And you know where they leave? They go to the white community. They go to a community that is much more lavish than wherever they're coming from. I think that's also a problem. But
I mean,
Um,
everyone does that. When an Asian person becomes rich, they live around mostly white people. That's what
yeah,
everybody
and I
does.
think that's a
Bec-
problem. There's a reason why white people live in suburban areas. They live in good areas, is
white
because they
flight.
built it up.
No white flight, because the government subsidized that. You realize that black people were not allowed to buy houses in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the government subsidized that.
Yeah, but now they can, but they choose to go there instead of building up their community. I think that's wrong.
Yeah, no. The thing is, yeah, there can be something to said about staying within the community to
Yeah.
build it up and everything like that, right? Like that's not an argument. Black people argue that all the time. Like we should go ahead and start
Hmm.
doing things internally to rebuild our community. But there are issues there such as capital. You see what I'm saying? Black people have lack of capital even when they're rich. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just about black people are not building up their community. There are structural reasons why it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think a perfect example of this is like the Chinese, like all the Asians, they stay in that one community and they build it up. They have really good communities. And it's not like to put like the black communities down, but it's just a good example of like, these people are like great. And same thing for Jewish people. I live in Florida. I don't know if you know what Boca Raton is. It's a very rich area and it's 70% Jewish.
Born and raised
And
County Dade.
yeah, so
Hmm.
so it's like it's just something that's like, there's a lot of communities that we can go from and be like, okay, they're doing something, and it's not like Chinese people came here with capital. No, they didn't. They came here dirt poor, just like black people, and in fact, they were oppressed just like black people and at a certain point. So it's like what they're, you know what
Okay.
I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean because there are several things wrong. First of all, the Chinese that came after the Chinese Exclusion Act, they weren't the dirt poor people who were building the railroad. Like you know that, right? Like the Chinese that came afterwards, most of them were people that were in the upper echelons of their society because it's expensive to move to America. So the people that are coming over in the first place are usually highly educated or highly skilled anyway. So they're going to have a foothold on the average American, especially the average Black American who was systemically kept out of those systems, right?
Yeah, but I thought your thing was capital. Like they didn't come here with capital. Same thing with black people. And we're at a point where education, I think you would agree that black people and Chinese people can get through the same public schools and get into the same universities, right? So I don't see that to be an issue now.
No, like
So
I think you're missing what I'm saying. The Chinese immigrants and a lot of the Asian immigrants, especially East Asians, the ones that come over are typically already have advanced degrees. So when they have advanced degrees and they move over to America, they're going to have a better chance to live a better life. You're gonna have doctors and stuff like that and tech people coming over. They're gonna have high income anyway. So yeah, they're gonna be doing better than the black people already here because they were already doing better where they were from.
okay. So all right. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So like the reason why I would support reparations is because for that reason, not just because of slavery, but also because of all the issues that happened subsequently to that. Black codes, redlining, et cetera, et cetera. Those things are what caused the black community to be what it is right now. Now there is growth there, right? Like we have actually grown in our community. There's like Baldwin Hills, there's Uniondale, New York, there's Friendly, Maryland. There's Pearl Land, Texas. There are black communities that are doing well. It's just that to structurally fix the structural issues is gonna take more than just the programs that we have. That's
Yeah,
what I mean.
I mean, I I understand like maybe there could be like reparations as maybe something for the community of black people, not necessarily money. I just can't get behind paying tax dollars for a guy to get a check in the mail. I just can't get behind that. But now thinking about that, like that idea alone, to me, I would just be insulted if I was a black man and I was getting paid because I was black. Like I don't know how you feel about that, but it to me is just like, that's kind of fucked up. Like I understand I'm black, but like you don't have to give me handouts type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't see that to be a good thing at all.
The things that about reparations that most black people don't view it as a handout. They view it as a something that's owed to them because reparations, just like how you said, it was supposed to happen after slavery. It actually did happen after slavery. The 40 acres and a mule thing that actually did
Yeah.
happen, but Andrew Jackson rescinded it, and we never went back to doing that again. You see what I'm saying? So there are folks that says if you're not gonna do the money, go ahead and do that. Do the order. I think it was Order 42, Special Order 42. I think it was. If I'm wrong, someone will correct me. But there was a special order to set aside land for former slaves and their descendants. They said people have said if you're not going to do money, do that. You know what I'm saying? And now, of course, there are structural things like the school system, the criminal justice system, real estate stuff like that. That can also be. I think those things also need to be addressed. That's what I would address as well. One of the first things I would address would be the criminal justice in the school system, because that doesn't only affect black people; it affects poor whites. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see that to be way better than getting an envelope in the mail. I see that to be 10 times better because I don't see because you might disagree with me, but there's definitely black people that think that they're getting handouts 100%. Like I don't see that to not be the case. I think if you were to fund impoverished black communities where when it comes to schools, when it comes to anything like that, I think that's 10 times better.
Yeah, sure. I don't think I don't think anyone is really against that. It's the concern about it is that all you have to do is get one politician that says, "Oh, this is DEI or CRT or wokeness or whatever the new conservative buzzword is," and to just erase it, right? So that's what people are concerned about. That's why I said if you're gonna do uh, things have to be in tandem. It has to be complex, and it can't be like rescinded easily. You feel what I'm saying? Which a lot of the investments and programs that we want to do sometimes those can get rescinded very easily, and you have to write it in a way where that won't happen. That's what I would say. I have no problem with investing into the communities, changing these systems around, things like that. I have no problem with that. But the reason why people also support a cash payment or cash or checks or whatever is because that can't be taken away once it's given. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think education is number one, and I understand like in these in black communities, like education when it comes to schools, it's a very bad thing. I mean, for example, the Chinese, Japanese, all those Asians when they came here, the number one thing they valued was education. Like you can disagree with me there, but that was the number one thing. Like it's a joke about how they want their sons to be doctors and engineers because they want their children to go to college. They want them to get a degree. And I think if the black community values school, if they have good schools and they value that archetype, I think it would increase you guys like 100%.
Yeah. So
Like
I'm West Indian descent, right? Hold on, give me a second, Solomon. I'm West Indian descent, right? Like, and it's a joke within our community. Like, they always say Haitians always want your son to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. My wife is Jamaican, right? She says the same thing. Her dad raised her to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and it's the same thing. I know a few Africans, right? They said, hey, our fathers and mothers raised us to be doctor, lawyer, engineer, or banker. So like, and I've met African Americans before. They say, hey, the same thing. Like a lot of our parents told us doctor, lawyer, engineer. You see what I'm saying? So it is something that's valued. It's just that the school systems aren't very good. They're not well. You see what I'm saying? So it is something that black people do value. It's just that you're not gonna find a lot of value when the school system in of itself is not good. Which is why I say this is a structural issue and not really something that exists within the culture. We need to go ahead and change the structural paradigm. You know what I'm saying? How schools are funded, what is
yeah.
taught in those schools, etc. You feel me? Like there needs to be a lot more black history because I can tell you a lot about the Greeks and the Romans and a little bit about the Chinese. I didn't learn about Mansa Musa until I got to college. You see what I'm saying? So all of these are like Great Zimbabwe. That was a page in high school. You know what I'm saying? When the Roman Empire probably had a whole chapter. You see what I'm saying? So like these are things that could change in our systems, and I think would be a lot better. You feel me saying? But I don't disagree with you all the way. It's just that I think there are some some gaps there in your knowledge. It's not a problem. Yeah, I mean uh, we learn things every day. We have 15 minutes at the moment, Eden. So I gotta drop you down. But I do
All right,
appreciate you
bro.
and you having a good conversation with me. All right, appreciate you.
You too.
Alrighty. All right, guys. Like I said, it's 15 minutes each person. I do appreciate everybody coming up. Solomon, it is gonna be your turn whenever you come back. Okay, there you are. How's it going, Solomon? I'll go ahead and put 15 minutes on the clock. Are you 18 and over, and do you disagree with anything I have on the board?
Yes, I am over 18. And I really had questions for Eden based on what he was saying, but you've already dropped him, so it's kind of
Oh, okay. Yeah. Question. Okay, cool. Not a problem. So you do agree with something I have on the board?
I mean, I agree essentially with all of it,
All right, cool. Yeah,
with the
awesome.
exception of prison, with the exception of the prison industrial abolition.
Okay, cool. So when I talk about prison industry
And
abolition,
the and go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, all good. When I talk about prison industry abolition, what I mean by that is basically the profiteering off of profiteering off of prison labor, private prisons, and changing our systems from carceral punishment to basically restorative justice, where we rehabilitate people rather than just throw them in there and punish them. Because prisons are supposed to be for rehabilitation to teach them how to live in society, and we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Which is, I think we have such a high recidivism rate. But if we were to teach people how to live in society and give them chances, because right now, if you're a felon, it's harder for you to go to school because you probably can't get Pell Grants or financial aid. Your job prospects are a lot lower, and then when you're black, it gets even worse. You see what I'm saying? So if we were to remove some of those barriers
So
and
my
teach people how to live in society, then I think we would have lower recidivism rates. Now there are things such as grape and unaliving that people think that you should be in jail for life if you do those things, and I'm not unsensitive. I do understand that, and I probably would agree. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a crime against a child, you should probably be in jail for life. You see what I'm saying? Like I agree with that. But as far as everything else, for substances, substance abuse, alcoholism, um, maybe even domestic abuse. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that we can rehabilitate instead of just punishing people. Does that make sense, Solomon? Just
do do you, do you think you really can though? Like let's take domestic violence. Let's take domestic violence.
mhm.
Do you really think a person who does this will not do it again in the future just because you talk to them and help them understand that what they did was wrong?
Yeah, I believe in the power of change.
Like,
Right.
what
One of
would be
the
your
yeah.
view to go ahead? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said I believe in people that actually can change, right? Because there are folks who believe that people don't change. I disagree with that. I think people can change. Now, I'm not gonna tell anybody to trust that person anymore, especially if they harmed you, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about um when you ask, do I believe that they can actually like domestic abuse actually can stop doing that. I believe they can stop. You know what I'm saying? I believe they can stop because the reason why they started are based off of things like, power reasons. Basically, they want control. They like they want control, and they feel that they should have that type of control. Like if you look at, like, I think there was research on domestic abusers and why they do what they do. A lot of it is based on is based on two things. Number one, they feel that they should own the other person, and number two, stress. Yeah, I mean, that's why you see domestic abuse a lot of times within the lower income of our society because of just the stress. You know what I'm saying? Which is why we saw domestic abuse go up during COVID. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people were at home, a lot of people were stressed, a lot of people got poor. So, like, even though, like, I don't think it's an excuse This is what I would say. It's not an excuse. You being stressed out shouldn't be an excuse for you to raise your hand on somebody. That's not an excuse at all. It's not an excuse, but it does explain what's going on, if that makes sense. So if we teach people better stress mechanisms, and we teach them paradigms outside of the misogynist thinking of I should own the other person, you know what I'm saying, and even on the women's side, because there are women who go to jail for domestic abuse as well. On that side as well of I need to control and own the other person. If we change those type of mindsets to make them understand how toxic it is and teach them better coping mechanisms around stress, I think we would see domestic abuse go down, if all that makes sense. Did you hear me, Solomon? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. So that you're going to teach them this how, and how are you going to? So, what makes you think a victim of domestic violence would want the person who perpetrated this on them released?
They're not.
Like, so here's the thing. No, here's the thing.
Mhm.
The first time someone beats their spouse, well, let me rephrase it. The first time the cops are called because you beat your spouse isn't the first time you beat your spouse.
Yeah, of course.
So, with that in mind, what is it that makes you think they will change? Because this isn't the first time they did.
Yeah, it isn't.
And this and them being arrested might not be the first time the police showed up.
Shut up. No, you're right.
But yet here we are. So what is it that makes you think that person will change?
Essentially, what I think will help the person change is if there's enough will to change. That's what I would say. I would say therapy. You know what I'm saying, and getting them into to understand what they're doing is wrong, because a lot of them, tell you the truth, don't really understand it. They think that this is the way to be. This is the way that I have to control people. The thought of them thinking that I need to control people, that entire mind frame, you know what I mean? That entire mindset, there has to be a will there. They have to be willing to change their mindset, right? In order to change that around. So that has something to do with it. But me, the reason why I believe people can change, because I have seen people change. Now I'm not around domestic abusers, so I'm not sure about that. But the fact that people can change, and I have seen people change, it gives me hope that they will. You see what I'm saying? This is not something that I can 100% prove. You know what I mean? I guess when someone, like, because I'm not a believer, right, in faith or anything like that. Like, but if someone were to ask me, what do you actually do have faith in? I would say the human capacity to change themselves is what I have, is basically the only thing I have to have faith in. You see what I'm saying? So it's not really something that I can show you like on a map on studies. This is how, people change. But we have seen like research out there that therapy and just someone wanting to change their life around, that tremendously helps them to change their life around. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most amount of evidence that we have. So me, I just got to keep hope alive. You see what I'm saying? Because I do want to be a mental health counselor, and I just have the hope that people can change. That's really it. From what we've seen, and from other countries that do focus on rehabilitation instead of punishment, we see recidivism like across the board in all crimes. You know what I mean? Not just domestic abuse, but like all of it, right? Like all crimes that you can think of, we see recidivism like supremely down in other countries.
You're hinging someone's safety on a hope.
No, I'm not saying that when the person gets released from jail I'm not saying when the person gets released from jail, all of a sudden put them in the same neighborhood as their victim. Like, no one's saying that.
No, that doesn't, like, my father had a saying: a restraining order don't stop you from getting your ass beat.
Of course.
So wherever you put them does not stop them from enacting revenge on the person who put them in jail.
Right. I mean, as of
So
now,
what
that's the way it
what
is.
is it?
Unless you're advocating that if a person goes to jail or is convicted of domestic abuse, they get life in prison.
Should it not be up to the victim what happens to that person?
No, because
Why not?
because
Because again,
Mhm.
you're hinging this person's safety on an idea that you can't plausibly say works. And
No.
we know for a fact that victims of domestic violence are harmed even further when their perpetrators are released from prison. So what is going to stop this person from doing even greater harm when you release them?
Yeah, again, like there has to be rehabilitation. Like there are programs that go through rehabilitation and are shown to be effective, right? But when it comes to when you say that it should be up to the victim to say what's going to happen, we know that people can make highly emotional decisions, right? So at the end of the day, if there's a like a domestic dispute or domestic abuse, a lot of victims will either say keep the person in jail or unalive them. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not
But
sure if we're gonna live in that society.
again, the police coming there isn't the first time this happened. So we know for a fact that this person has a propensity to do this.
Right. All of
So,
that is known. What I'm saying is that how do we actually resolve it now? Because the person's
but you're
is
not
going
going
to
to
get out.
resolve this. That is what I'm saying. Like, you're thinking therapy is going to fix someone who knows what they're doing is wrong.
No, therapy is not a fix. That's not what therapy is. Therapy doesn't fix anyone. Therapy helps you come to
So,
therapy helps you come around to understanding who you are at a deeper level and understanding what needs to change. That's what
but
therapy
you
does. It
don't
doesn't
think
fix you.
these people know who they are when they do these things?
No, most people don't know who they are.
Okay.
Yeah. Most
I mean,
people do not
that's
know
a
who they are.
great leap. That's a great leap to say that telling a person who they are is going to stop them from doing the thing that they've already and always have done.
Right, but well, the difference is that a lot of these people don't know what a lot of these people don't realize what they're doing is actually wrong. They think that this is the actual right way to be.
No, they know it's wrong. Like, what you're saying is you don't think people know right from wrong.
No, people know right from wrong. But what I'm saying is that when you look at domestic abusers and what they do, what inspires them, and not really inspires them, but what convinces them to do what they do or why they're doing what they're doing, all of it is based on a sense of control and lack of coping mechanisms around stress. So they feel they need to control other people. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like they would say they know society looks down on them doing that, but they don't actually think that it's wrong to do to control someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
I,
So
I disagree. Again,
I mean that's
this
just what the
isn't the
research
first
shows.
time. This isn't the first time. So, like, when you get arrested for spousal abuse, the first time you get off with a slap on the wrist. Like, there's no jail time, there's no any of that. So, as a consequence, they take their revenge out on the person who had them arrested.
Right. I understand all of that, right? So, but that's an
what
issue of what I'm saying is that when it comes to the prison industry thing, that doesn't mean that for domestic abusers we're not going to arrest them anymore. We're not going to take them to jail or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? What I'm talking about is rehabilitation across the board, including for them too. You see what I'm saying? But and people who do like egregious things like, you know, R's and unaliving should probably, and, you know, harming children should probably be in jail for life, you know,
No,
long term.
no. I agree with you on that. Okay, let me ask you this way: how have you determined that this person is rehabilitated?
That would be up to psychiatrists, doctors, and psychologists, like people who are actually professionals on this. They would actually know when that person is rehabilitated.
Do you think professionals can be tricked?
Yeah, professionals can be tricked. Of course they can.
So now we're back to the first point of
But
this
like at the
person still
but
doing
the
it.
thing is, if you're gonna say that, then everyone who commits a crime should be in jail for life. Because how can we tell they're gonna be rehabilitated?
For certain things, yes, they should be. Like you
Yeah,
demonstrate.
I agree with you. There are certain things people would be in jail for life. But if we're gonna go off if we're gonna go off the assumption that, you know, professionals can be tricked, and we don't know if someone's rehabilitated or not, the first time someone commits a robbery, put him in jail for life because we don't know if he's not gonna go out and do it again.
Again, the first time you get caught for robbery isn't the first time you've committed robbery.
Nah, for a lot of
You see what
people
I'm
there is.
saying?
Nah, there are people who go to
No,
there are people who go to jail a lot of times for the first offense and be in jail for like 3-4 years on the first offense.
no, that's the first time they got caught.
Mm-hmm.
Like your first robbery isn't a bank.
Right. Your first robbery is in
Like
a bank, but I
that's
agree with
what
that.
I'm saying.
Right. No, I agree with that. Right. So it's the first time that we've seen them get caught. Right. And it's the
Correct.
first offense. Yeah. Oh, okay. But that's all good and well. But what I'm saying is that if we go off the mindset of this is not the first time you've done it, and we don't know if you're going to be rehabilitated, therefore you should be in jail for life. Are we going to do that for every criminal?
Depends on the crime.
Right.
Do
So
you agree on that?
it depends on the crime. Yeah, like all wording, unaliving, and harming children, you should be in jail for life. I agree with that.
Okay.
But like
Okay.
things like
You
robbery,
don't.
burglary, substance abuse, DUI, I don't think they should be
Okay.
in jail for life.
Okay. If I rob a bank and a lady dies because she had a heart attack, do I go to jail for life? Because
And under
somebody did die.
under our system, yeah, you may go to jail. You may get negligent homicide for that. I don't believe in that either,
Why not?
because you didn't go out your way to harm that person. You were trying to rob a bank.
It does.
That does matter.
Like,
That does matter. I take
no,
that into consideration.
Your actions. If you didn't rob that bank, does that lady die?
She could still die
Like,
if
does
you
that
didn't rob it.
lady have a heart? Does that lady have a heart attack in the bank if you don't rob the bank?
Possibly, we can't tell. That's why I don't agree. That's why I don't agree with it. We can't tell. We don't know.
But you can say your actions caused her to have the heart attack.
You can say that, yeah, but like she could have had a heart
Okay.
attack any other way. We don't. We just don't know. So
She could have.
right.
She
So
could have. But your actions were a direct result. Your actions were a direct cause of her having the heart attack.
again, we don't know that. What if she just had a bad heart?
What if she didn't? Again,
If she didn't, she wouldn't have a heart attack then.
pe-
This is why we can't.
No,
That's why I don't think. That's why I don't think that.
No.
I think those laws are ridiculous.
people walk around with bad hearts all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't just drop dead because nothing happens. You see what I'm saying?
No, that actually does happen. People, you get a heart attack at a random time. That's what I'm saying. Like this, like that's why I don't agree with that. Those type of laws where if someone has a heart attack, then you're gonna get charged with regular homicide because you're robbing the bank while they had a heart attack. I think that's
No,
That-
it's
that's
not
ridiculous.
Wild. It's you robbing the bank caused the heart attack.
you robbing the bank caused the heart attack. I think that's ridiculous. We shouldn't have laws like that.
But again, the heart attack doesn't happen if you aren't there. Agreed?
No, I don't. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
There's no way to tell. There's no way to tell.
But there is a way to tell. like let's take your example. She had a bad heart. She doesn't just develop the person doesn't just develop a bad heart today.
Mm-hmm.
So they've had a bad heart for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing has happened. But your actions have stressed this person to the point where their heart gives out.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't doing this thing, their heart doesn't give out. Agreed?
Okay, let's say I agree with that. Cool.
Okay.
Now let's say that doesn't happen, right? Now let's say that I'm her grandson, and I want to play a prank on my grandma. So I said, "Grandma, boo," and because of that, she has a heart attack and dies. Do I go to jail?
Yes.
Yeah. See, that's
You
why I don't agree
caused
with it. Yeah, because
caused
yeah,
the death of a person.
because I think I think the crime should go towards intention. My intention wasn't to kill my grandma. It was to play a prank on her. Why would I go to jail for playing a
I mean,
prank?
no one's intent is to ever kill anyone. That's never the intent when something like this happens.
Right, but you heard, but are you listening to what you're saying? You're saying that if a kid pranks his grandma and she has a heart attack over the prank, that kid is going to jail for a homicide because he paid a prank. That's kind of
Did
ridiculous.
his act, no, did his actions cause the person to have a heart attack?
Yeah, your actions can cause harm. No one is denying your actions can cause harm, right? But
Okay.
but when we're talking about criminal justice, they take your intent into consideration. Someone who's going to prosecute a 15-year-old for pranking his grandma, she has a heart attack. No one's going to do that
Okay.
because they take your intent into consideration. If they take it all the way to the court will look at them like you're crazy. We're like, okay, what was the motive? What was the intent? What happened here? And you said, oh, he pranked his grandma with a hot air balloon and she had a heart attack. They're gonna dismiss the case. They'll be like, this is a case of an accident. It's not gonna. There's no criminal intent here. Like criminality has to have intent. There's no criminal intent there. So, which is why like the same situation with the robbery, the criminal intent was to rob the bank and not to kill someone. That's why I don't agree with charging them with homicide, even though they robbed the bank. And not only that, that's how
But they committed.
But that's how-
did they or did they not commit a crime?
they committed a crime, but the crime was the robbery, not the homicide. Which
But
is
you
like
committed a crime. It doesn't matter.
it does
Like,
matter
you're trying
because
to-
because your
you're trying
intent.
to give them an out because
I'm
they
not giving them
didn't
an
mean
out.
for it to
I'm
happen.
not giving them an out. They committed a crime by committing robbery, but they didn't intend to commit the homicide. So saying that they should be charged with saying that they should be charged with homicide because they committed the robbery is exactly how police can be reckless, and kill someone and then charge someone else with the homicide. That's how they do that because of the logic that you're doing. That police officers have done this before. Police officers have gotten to houses while it was being robbed, shot the owner of the house, killed that owner, and then charged the robber with that homicide. They've done that before because of what you're saying.
Okay,
see what I'm
wait,
saying?
wait.
So, like,
Would
that's
the
ridiculous.
police have been there if the house wasn't being robbed?
Huh?
Would the police have gone in that house if it wasn't being robbed?
No.
Okay, so again, your actions caused a person to lose their
But
life.
who killed the person?
Again, would the
Who
police be there?
who
if the house
killed the
wasn't being
person?
robbed?
Who killed the person? Who
The-
killed them?
The person who robbed the house indirectly killed the person.
Nah, bro. The officer killed that person. Not the person who robbed the house. The officer killed that person. If we're gonna hold on, should people should people be responsible for their actions?
Yes, they should.
Okay, so the officer should be responsible for that death, not the robber.
Again, would the officer be there if the house wasn't being robbed?
Irrelevant. The officer is the one who killed them.
Not irrelevant.
Hold on. You can. Hold on, so hold on. But hold on. Wait. So you're saying that the officer killing the person is irrelevant because the person was robbing the house, but the officer wouldn't. But the officer, hold on. How is it irrelevant for my side? But it's not relevant for yours. I don't understand that.
Which part?
Okay.
Would the
So-
officer be there if the house wasn't being robbed?
That's irrelevant. Who killed the person?
Not irrelevant. How is that irrelevant?
Because who killed the person? We're asking who killed the person, not who
No.
why they were there.
How is yes, that does matter why they are there.
It matters what no
It
it,
absolutely matters.
no, it matters why they no, it doesn't matter why they are there. Who killed the person?
The officer killed the person.
Exactly. So why shouldn't the officer be responsible?
Because the officer was not there. The officer was there for a specific reason.
And they
Because
killed someone.
Because someone broke into the house.
And they
Again,
killed someone. So
is
so-
the officer there if the house isn't being broken into?
who killed the person?
Is the officer there if the house is not being broken
Who
into?
kills the person? Who killed them?
That's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Is the
So how is
officer there?
how? So that's my
Is
point.
the
That's my
officer
point. That's my
there?
point. Solomon. That's my point.
And
That's
you
my
still
point.
haven't answered my
Solomon, I already
question.
answered the question. I already answered it already. But you
So
prove. Hold on.
why-
Hold on.
No.
You're proving my point. You're proving my point. How is what I say irrelevant, but what you say is not irrelevant? We can't we can't do that.
Yours-
No, but because my
yours
point
is-
my point is over.
Explain why yours is
My
irrelevant.
point. No. Let me explain.
Why yours is
No.
irrelevant.
My
Yours is
point is
irrelevant
my
because-
point is not irrelevant. My point is not irrelevant. My point is not irrelevant because you and I both agree that people should be responsible for their own actions. It was the actions of the officer. The officer is the one who shot the gun.
No,
Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
person
The
who
officer
broke into the
who
house.
shot the gun? Who shot the gun?
It's the action.
Who shot the gun? Who shot the gun?
There if the house is not being broken.
Okay. If I answer this question, are you gonna answer mine?
I'll answer yours.
Okay. The officer is not there without the robber. Who shot the person? Who shot the
Okay.
owner of the house?
The officer shot the person.
Okay. So at the end of the day, if the officer shot the person, why shouldn't they be responsible for that? Because you did because the hold on the robber hold on wait the robber is not the one who made the officer shoot that person. The officer shot that person.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes.
Are officers not supposed to be responsible?
The officer made the robber made the person shoot because the robber was there. If the robber isn't there, the officer's not gonna shoot the person.
No,
Do you agree on that? Do you
No.
agree on that?
no.
So police officers just go in the houses randomly and shooting people.
Breonna Taylor, my friend.
And those officers went to jail. Why?
They did not.
Why did those
They did not.
officers go to
They
jail?
did not. They did not.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
They did.
No, they
got
didn't.
pardoned.
No, they
Yes,
didn't. They did not go to
They got
jail.
charged with federal civil rights violations.
And they got pardoned. They did not go to
Yes,
jail.
they did.
They did not go to jail.
They got. That's a separate issue we could discuss.
You said they went to jail.
They did go to jail.
No, they
And then
didn't.
They got pardoned and released.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
then they
They
got
didn't even go to
pardoned.
trial. They didn't even go to trial.
Yes, they did go to trial.
No, they didn't. Breonna Taylor's
got
killers.
pardoned on federal civil rights.
Breonna Taylor's killers did not go to trial. They didn't go to trial. They did not go to trial, bro. You might be talking about George Floyd killer. He went to trial, but not
No,
Breonna
I'm
Taylor's
talking
trailers.
about George Floyd.
Yeah, Breonna Taylor's didn't go to trial. All right, y'all. I think we're Oh, he dropped. Not sure. He dropped. All right, y'all. We're go ahead and keep on trucking. Go ahead and keep liking the live and keep sharing. Keep liking the live and keep sharing. I appreciate everybody being here. He dropped. I'm not sure what happened there. All right, y'all. Keep liking the live and keep sharing. Keep liking the live, keep sharing. I appreciate everybody who's here. Let's get us to 10K. Let's get us to 10K likes. Let's get us to 10K likes, y'all. All right, y'all let me know what's going on. What's up? Let's go ahead and get us to 10K likes. We're at 7K right now. I appreciate y'all being here. Go ahead and keep liking the live. If you disagree with something I have on the board, go ahead and come on up. I'll appreciate any conversation. It is about, what time is it now? It's about 8:30 now. Well, I'm sorry, not 8:30. Ooh, I was way off. It is about 8:15 now. Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Just as a quick commercial break, I do have a subscription goal. Please go ahead and subscribe if you would like. It's not that much to subscribe to me. It's about $2.99, less than a cup of coffee. Babe, what's going on, baby? Oh, you cleaning? Okay. Yeah, you just threw the carpet, bro. Just tossed the carpet in the computer room. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What to say, man? You mad at me or something? Just toss the carpet in the computer room. All right, y'all. Go ahead and keep liking the live, keep sharing, keep liking the live, keep sharing. I appreciate you. What's going on, Carl Martin? How's it going? If you would like to join any on the conversation, you can join with that link that I have up here. You should see it. It's somewhere up there. Yeah, you'll see it. But yeah, you can join with that link that I have up there. What's good, Carl Martin? What's good, Brandon? What's going on, y'all? All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and wait for any more guests to come up. If I don't get any within the next few minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and just restart the live. See if we can get anybody. Chilling, vibing. If I don't get any within the next few minutes, I'm just gonna go ahead and restart the live. See if we can get any opposition in here. I'm live right now, both on YouTube and Twitch. I try to go live on Facebook whenever I can. I try to go live on Facebook whenever I can, but we'll see when that happens. If you're watching me over on YouTube, I really appreciate it. Go ahead and drop some comments in the chat so we can go ahead and get the algorithm in there. Of course, I already tagged my. There we go. I already had and tagged it in the chat, but in my YouTube chat, you can join me on my live. You can join the guest box in my live whenever you can. All right, and I appreciate everybody being here. All right, y'all. I'm gonna give this about maybe 2 more minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and restart the live. I think lives like these are being suppressed because, folks like to argue instead. So lives like these tend to not get a lot of traction for some reason. But if you would like to talk about anything I got on the board, if you disagree with something I have on the board, go ahead and come on up. I'm going to be doing politics a lot. I will be doing politics a lot, so matter of fact, that's what this month is. The month of October is my politics month. In November, I'm going to go back to religion. And then December, for the end of the year, I think I'll mix it up a little bit. I'll probably do, one day politics, one day religion, one day politics, one day religion. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll do one day politics, one day religion. We'll see. But all right, y'all, this is what I'm going to do, okay? Over on my TikTok, I'm going to go ahead and restart this live. Hopefully we can go ahead and get some more people in here, get more guests. Y'all come around again, all right? I'm going to go ahead and stop this live real quick. And y'all come through again in a few minutes, all right? I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. Be right back. All right, if you watch me over on YouTube, I am going to go ahead and be back. I just got to go ahead and hit a quick refresh. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go hit a quick refresh. Let's see what I can do. All right, let's see how this one goes. All right, y'all. We're gonna see how this one goes. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Let's go ahead and get this done. Let's do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. All right, y'all. Gotta start liking the live and start sharing. Start liking the live and start sharing. I appreciate everyone who would like to come up. I appreciate everybody who's here to have this discussion. Go ahead and start liking the live and start sharing. Start liking the live and start sharing. What's up, y'all? I see y'all coming in. I see y'all go ahead and coming in. Y'all go ahead and y'all see the topic on the board. If you can't see it, I can go ahead and drop it down a little bit. Give me a second. All righty. That tiny URL link up there is for anybody watching me on YouTube or anything like that. If you're watching me on YouTube or any other, let me see. There we go. If you're watching me on YouTube or anything else like that, you can go ahead and join with that tiny URL thing. You see that up there on the board. Okay, Coltron. I'm going to go ahead and invite you up, Coltron. Actually, Coltron, looks like I can't invite you up. But Coltron, go ahead and come on up. We could go ahead and talk about that if you like. All right. Coltron says, I have faith. It was my choice to have faith. Cool. But go ahead and come on up and we could talk about that more. And we'll talk about anything that I have on the board if you will, if anybody will like. Y'all go ahead and start liking the live and start sharing. Start liking the live and start sharing. Go ahead and come on up. If you disagree with something I have on the board, let's go ahead and talk about that for a few minutes. I appreciate everybody coming up. I appreciate all the appreciate any type of conversation that we can have. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for some guests, y'all. I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for some guests. If, like I said, you think that if you disagree with anything I have up here, we can discuss it. Go ahead and drop those likes for me, y'all. There we go. That's a little better. That's a little better. All right. Now, if you watching me over on YouTube and Twitch, I dropped my link in the chat below, so you can go ahead and request to come up. What's going on, y'all? I see everybody joining. Laura, how's it going, Laura? Appreciate you joining, Laura. I see Bloody Sack. I see Susie Q. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's up? Let me know what's going on. Let me know if you do not agree with anything I have on the board. Let me pin that real quick. And I do have a gift goal. Let's try to get to about 5,000 likes within the next hour. Not even next hour. Within the next couple minutes, y'all. Let's try to go ahead and get us up to 5,000. Hey, I appreciate that follow, Economist. Appreciate that follow. Appreciate that follow, Liberal Economist. I think we could talk about a lot of things too, because I like talking economics as well. So there are some blind spots that I have, so we could definitely talk about it. I know not everybody joining agrees with me now. All y'all who's joining me, I know not all of y'all agrees with me. So I know a few of y'all disagree. So like I said, if you disagree with something I have on the board, I will appreciate you coming up and we can go ahead and talk. All right. Now I do invite people up. If I see that that looks like you're gonna disagree with me, I'm just gonna go ahead and invite you up.
What up, brother?
All right, how's it going? Rod Diggity, is that your name?
Rajdi Dalajdi.
Rajdi. Okay, cool. Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes, I'm over 18. I believe I do disagree with something on the board.
Cool. What do you disagree with and why?
Let me think. Okay, I don't. Maybe this isn't exactly how you put it on the board, but do you not believe in God at all? Is that what this is?
No, I don't believe in a God at all.
Okay, I guess I got a problem with that.
All right, cool. Why should I believe in? All right, which God do you believe in, and why should I believe in that one?
I believe in the God of the Bible, but I guess I'm more interested, as long as it's fine with you, in talking about the existence of God in a general sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah, we can we can do both. Why should I believe in the God of the Christian Bible?
I guess there's different reasons, but one of the things that comes down to the God of the Christian Bible, I guess that definitely boils down to a matter of faith.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like certain things, I feel they seem to be believable to me, like the existence of Jesus and his death on a cross and things like this. And I feel that his resurrection seems to be a believable thing when you read about the Bible, because it's not just like, okay, the Bible is not just like a book that one person wrote and you just put a rubber stamp on it. This is true. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot of documents. So I feel that there's a lot of testimony and literature on the existence of Jesus and what he claimed to do and what happened to him and how he fulfills prophecy and things like this. That's why I personally believe in the Christian Bible.
Cool. All right. So me personally, I have no problem with Jesus existing as a person, right? There are some doubts there, but as far as Jesus existing in reality, yeah, sure, that could be true, right? The issue that I have is the claims around, his supernatural abilities. We have no evidence that that's the case, and there's really no reason to believe it just because the Bible says so. The Quran also said that Muhammad split the moon in half. We don't believe that, right? And the Book of Mormon says that Joseph Smith read the golden plates from the angels out of a hat. We don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that, like, just because a text says something doesn't necessarily make it true. Nor does it mean that we should believe it in the first place, especially if there's really no good reason. As far as the prophecies go, there's issues there as well, whether he actually did fulfill the prophecies, because apparently some of them he didn't. But as far as that goes, that's what I would say. We have no reason to believe that the supernatural claims are true, nor can we prove them with any type of veracity, nor is the Bible authoritative on anything. So it really gives us no good reason to believe its claims.
Okay, so you brought up one thing, okay, when you're talking about different religions. Now, I haven't studied all religions, you know what I mean? But one I have looked into a little bit besides Christianity was the Quran. I don't want to offend anybody here, so I don't want to say a lot regarding this. You know what I'm saying? I understand people believe it and they have their sincere beliefs in the Quran and whatnot. But I've looked into it and I feel that its relation to what it says about Christianity or about Jesus, what Muhammad said about Jesus, I believe discredits the religion itself and Muhammad itself. I don't know really would go into all that too much. I don't want to offend anybody. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I already have. I'm sorry if I have. But if you look into religions, you can probably find ways to discredit them and whatnot. And you would maybe have tried to do, or maybe tried to do the same thing with Christianity. But when it comes to like the prophecies we're talking about Jesus and whatnot, like Psalms 53, how they prophesied that he would be a sacrifice for us, and then what do you know? Jesus, a guy named Jesus comes to earth, and he claims to be the Son of God, and they crucify him, and then he raises again, and people testify this and preach it, and they die over this, what they saw. If you understand what I'm saying, not what somebody told them, what they actually saw, that these men died over this. And to me, the idea that there's prophesied of him being the atonement for our sin, and coming and dying and rising again to be the atonement for our sin, and his disciples testifying that he was risen again, and that he did it for our sins and such. That's, I guess, that's where the prophecy comes in. If you understand what I'm saying.
All right.
It's not just one.
So the claim is that Psalm 53 is a prophecy. I'll bring up Psalm 53 to see if it actually is a prophecy. But the second problem is that these people dying for it, right? That still doesn't prove that what they believe is actually true. I do believe that people die for things that they think are true, but that doesn't mean that what they thought was actually true. How do we actually prove that Jesus rose from the dead besides some people just saying it?
No. What I said was not the fact that they believe it. It's a little, just at least mildly deeper than that. I said that's something that they saw.
How do we know they saw it?
You understand what I'm saying?
Right. How do we know they saw it?
Well, we had to believe their testimony, and I feel it's not just one or two people.
Why? Why should we believe that? Why should we believe that some people saw it? Because the only place that's stated is in the Bible itself. There's no other document outside the Bible that says it. That makes a kind of bias, don't it?
You're talking about the Bible as it's one document, though. It's not just one document. It's a compilation of books and writings.
No, I understand that. Right? But like the only place that actually claims that Jesus rose from the dead is the Bible itself. Yeah, I mean, there's no other document that we have outside of that says so. Like, we have no other historical reference outside of the Bible that says that this thing happened. So how do we know that it actually happened outside of the Bible is saying so?
You understand, it's not one person that wrote it. It's multiple people. It's compiled documents.
Yeah, it's in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that Jesus rose from the dead. I understand that, but that's the only. Those are the right. Those are the only documents that say so. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and we don't even know who wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So
what about the books of Peter, the books of John, the book of Revelation? What about those books that talks about Jesus dying, and Jesus being risen and whatnot? It's not just Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are people writing letters, like Peter, who was one of Jesus' disciples, and he testifies to it. John testifies to it in his gospel, and the Revelations. It talks about Jesus, and his books. I think maybe also his letters. Also, it's not just Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Outside of the Bible, what reference do we have that Jesus actually rose from the dead?
I don't know about any of them rising from the dead, but we do know that he was crucified. And I know we have Flavius Josephus, but it almost looks like it might have been edited, and it may have talked about, I can't remember if it talked about rising from the dead, but we also have who's it, Tacitus? I can't remember talking about his crucifixion and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I have no issue with Jesus actually existing and being crucified. I don't problem. I don't problem with that. The only thing that I doubt, the thing that I doubt, seriously, is the supernatural abilities. That's what I doubt. I have no
yeah, I
problem with him
guess
actually existing.
okay. I guess that is the hardest part, to believe, and the I'm not saying it is a hard thing to believe, but I would say that's the hardest part for people to believe. Um, well, that's the part element that it has to be faith. You know, it comes down to believe that he rose. I believe it takes. I feel like that probably takes an element of faith, yes. But I would say that there's enough. I feel like there's enough there to not be like an impossible thing to believe. It's not like if someone just like, okay, randomly there's a book that arises over here where it talks about somebody rising from the dead, just randomly one testimony or something, then yeah, it's not going to be difficult to believe. And when I hear stories like that, I do not believe them outright. You understand what I'm saying? But I just feel like the documentation around Jesus' resurrection is probably a lot more than anything else we've seen about something that I've seen, anyways, of someone rising from the dead or doing miracles or some such thing like that. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not enough because it's all just coming from just one source. You know what I mean? So it's not really enough for me to say that I'm just going to believe. There's nothing really to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I would say like the elements surrounding how he was crucified and the way they parallel the you know, the same as the prophecies. I would say that is seems to be more. I don't know. It makes sense to me because they do line up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know much about like Psalms 22, Isaiah 53, and I think there was something in another place about how he died.
Yeah, I mean, if we read Isaiah 53, that's more about Israel than it is about Jesus. Because if you read all of Isaiah, Isaiah was written while they were in Babylon, right? So, all of that was written about how Israel was going to rise again. So it's like if all of Isaiah, all the way 51, 52, and then when we get to 53, suddenly it's about Jesus. That seems kind of silly to me because all of it was about Israel. Then when we get to 53, suddenly it changes to Jesus. Like I don't know how that happens or what's the logic behind that.
Well, okay, there's different parts in those chapters where people, I understand it to be called something like the servant songs or something like that, where there's certain parts where it starts talking about a he. So it says he did. It's like, okay, as far as I understand, it was in the prophetic language. They talked in the past tense, as far as I can understand, because it's a different language. It's not the same as English, and even the King James Version, they translated it as something that's going to happen, something like he shall grow up. You know, even though it was written in the past tense, that some people call it prophetic perfect, or whatever they call it. I think it was something like prophetic perfect.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I looked into it, the idea of Isaiah 53 talking about Israel and saying that it was Israel, Israel suffering for the sins of other nations or others. I don't think that adds
They're personifying Israel.
Yeah, I don't think that adds up. And he brought up this guy Rashi, they called him Rashi or something. He's a middle-aged Jewish maybe commentator or something like that about the Jewish religion, at least in part. Maybe it was all about the Jewish religion, but maybe commentated also on the Christianity also. But he was like 1,000. He was in the Middle Ages. But as far as I was maybe don't quote me 100%, but as far as I understand, before him, it was treated majorly as prophetic, of like messianic. Okay, so this is something that maybe actually changed later on, and it might have actually been directly. Don't quote me on this, but it could be possible. I need to look into it more. That it was to counter the Christian, because it rose up out of that, and I don't think they can believe what they want to. I'm not saying that they're not allowed to, but they didn't like it. They kind of, it was this, if I understand correctly, some of the Jews, well, the at least a certain amount of Jews didn't like
Yeah.
the whole
I mean,
Christian.
I haven't read that, right? That's something that I've read. But as far as when I looked up, Isaiah 53, like the language that they were using, it's still more of a personification of Israel than something messianic. Like I think people took it messianic because we're a Christianized society, right? So they took it as messianic. But when people took a more critical look at it, they saw that this was more about personifying Israel than it being a messianic thing. But I'm not a biblical scholar, but I have spoken to a few who have said that this is more of a personification of Israel than something messianic. But
Let me see if I can bring up Isaiah 53 here, because it's hard. It'd be easier for me to talk about it because I believe there's certain problems with that interpretation that they've given of this. I don't know if you got a King James version you can bring up, or some people are able to bring it up. Let me see if I can bring it up on the Blue Letter Bible. Here, maybe that's easier. But I think there's things that disqualify it as being about Israel. One thing you got to realize is saying he is talking about, it seems like we're talking about person. It's sacrificial language. You understand what I'm saying?
right,
So,
right. But like when you personify something, you give it those pronouns, right? Like when guys talk about their boats, they call the boat she. The boat is not a real person, but they call it she. You know what I mean? Or how I would call Africa the motherland. You know what I'm saying? Or how Germans back in the day called Germany the fatherland. So it's like they could personify things and still do he and she, right?
yeah, but in those instances, it's very obvious he's talking about the boat. But it doesn't seem to be obvious here. It seems to be talking about a single person that is paying for other people's sins as atonement. You got to understand, in Hosea, as far as I understand, Israel had been the bad boy in certain instances. So the idea with the sacrificial lambs there and atonement, it doesn't make sense that Israel would be the subject here because Israel would not be a spotless sacrifice to take for other people's sins, if you understand what I'm saying. So that part really doesn't make sense.
Wait, hold on. Israel wouldn't be an atonement for what?
For others, they would not be atonement for others.
Oh, they definitely will, because then didn't Yahweh tell Abraham he'll be the father of many nations, etc.
No. But I'm saying Israel doesn't really. That's not what I'm saying. Because yes, he's the father of many nations, but that's not what's going on here. Isaiah 53 is talking about someone that pays for the sins, the transgressions of others. And in the Bible, when they had a lamb or a sacrifice, it had to be spotless, it had to be perfect. And the idea that it would be Israel doesn't make sense because Israel in Isaiah was not a perfect, spotless lamb. They had been judged, if you understand. So that for the idea of them to be paying for others' sins doesn't make sense because they had to be perfect themselves. They needed someone to pay for their sins. So Isaiah 53 cannot be Israel. When we look at it that way, it cannot be Israel. I'm not going to say there's no parallels or anything in there, but the subject is not Israel. It cannot be because Israel was sinful in the Bible, so it cannot be Israel. If you understand what I'm saying, if you follow what I'm saying, so it has to be somebody else. And when you had a sacrifice, you would take like a goat, or maybe not a goat, a sheep or whatever. You would pay for the sins, basically as a sin atonement.
Let me bring up Isaiah 53 real quick because I didn't read that it's about a sacrifice or anything. All right, 53. Who has believed our message and to whom the Lord revealed? He grew before him like a tender shoot, like a root of dry ground. He had no beauty, majesty to attract us to him. Nothing in his appearance we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering, familiar with pain, like one from people who hide their faces. He was despised, held low esteem. Surely he took they were considered punished by God, stricken, etc., iniquities. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was like a lamb to the slaughter, etc., etc. Yes, it was the Lord to crush him, cause him to suffer, and after he has suffered, he will see the light. By his knowledge, righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured his life unto death, and numbered with the transgressions, for he bore the sin of many, and made the intercession for the trans. This is about Israel, because
Israel,
yeah, this like because like the entire chapter is about this this guy suffering, but then rising again, and God uses him to lead the nation. This is about Israel.
what it says for the sins of others, Israel suffered for their own transgression. So it
Right,
can't be
and
them.
and it does explain that he was oppressed and afflicted, and he suffered, but then it explains that God is going to use him to rise up again and lead other nations. So this is about Israel.
No, it says for our iniquities. It says for our
That's
transgressions.
It's talking about Israel. Yeah. Yes, it was the Lord's to will to crush him and cause him to suffer, and the Lord makes his life an offering for sin. He will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. And he has suffered. He will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death, and was numbered with the transgressions, for he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. He's talking about Israel.
Okay, here's what that doesn't make sense. It makes about. I'm not saying anything against. Well, I won't say anything. Don't want to say anything against you personally. You know what I'm saying? But that so that does not make sense, because in the earlier in Isaiah, as far as I understand, it said that Israel is going to be chastised or judged for their own transgressions. So the guy here, that he is receiving punishment for other people's transgressions. Israel received punishment for their own transgressions, so it cannot be them.
Hi, Uncle. I love you, Uncle. Have a good day, Uncle. I love you, Uncle.
Okay.
So that's why it's a total disconnect for me. It does not make sense. 100% does not make sense.
Okay, cool. I mean, we could we could go back and forth on it all day, but we are at the 15-minute mark. But I do appreciate you being up, bro.
Well, thank you for being respectful. Appreciate it. Thanks,
Not a problem.
brother.
Not a problem. All right, guys. Go ahead and keep liking and live and sharing. Keep liking, live, and sharing. I appreciate everybody who's here. Appreciate you all liking and live. What's going on, Chosen? I appreciate you being here, bro. All right. We're gonna go wait to see if we can get any more guests up, and if we get any more, then we will keep going, and if not, I will go ahead and end it off for tonight. But I appreciate y'all being here, and I appreciate all the conversation. Y'all go ahead and keep liking the live. All right. Let me just shrink this down a little bit. Push this over a little bit, and boom. Cool. All right, y'all. Hey, I appreciate the follow, David. I do appreciate that. Appreciate that follow. All right, y'all. Go ahead and keep liking the live. Let's see if we can get any more people on here. Let's get us to 5K likes. Let's see if we get any more guests, and if we can get any more guests, we can go ahead and keep on talking, all right? Yeah, Chose. I am framing this in a very polite way. Because people gotta talk more in our society, man. We've been yelling at each other for like the past 10 years. Because for some reason, people collectively lost their shit when Obama got elected. So it's like I don't know what the hell happened, but well, I know what the hell happened, but still, you know what I mean? Like, people gotta talk more instead of screaming. I appreciate that, David. Appreciate that. But yeah, I do frame these in a more polite way, and I have more polite discussion than most time until it gets like contentious and yelly, because that has happened before. You know, you've been here before, Chose, when they got super contentious. Hey, Anima, how's it going, Anima? I appreciate you being here, Anima. Thank you so much. Let me see something real quick. Because if I'm not mistaken, Anima was supposed to be a moderator already. There we go. Yeah, Anima was supposed to be a mod already. No problem. Right wing policies are crimes against humanity. That actually is a good discussion to have. Because yeah, I don't think I don't know any right wing policy that I agree with other than guns. You know, I don't see one that I agree with other than weapons. Yeah, so all right, y'all keep liking the live. I might get out of here in a few though. Haven't been getting a lot of guests tonight. It's been slow tonight. You know, it was slow last time as well. Yeah, it's been a pretty slow night. It was slow last time. I might just doom scroll and see what we got. Let's see what's going on the until I get a guess. Let's see what's going on the internet nowadays. Yeah, I agree. Faith is not a pathway to truth. It's not a good way for you to find truth. Yeah, I do keep my backup on panel for follow sometimes. I keep my backup there. For me to see how the live looks through the phone, and like to get people up as well. All right, let's see what's going on. You know, threads can be a dumpster fire sometimes, but there are some times where I find some there are some times where I do find some gems on threads, but threads can be a dumpster fire. I don't know if y'all know about threads, but it's basically the Facebook version of Twitter, or I would say the Instagram version of Twitter. And you know, it's not bad. You know, threads isn't bad, but it can definitely be a dumpster fire. But yeah, until I get a guess, let's go ahead and doom scroll. Let's see here. This is a person that I actually do follow. This person that I actually do follow, and she says a judge ruled against Trump administration, and then her house was blown up. I think society as a whole moved on from that much too quickly. Hey, I don't even disagree. I don't even disagree because it's crazy how we just kind of, a federal judge, her home was attacked for disagreeing with Trump, and we just kind of moved on. Like that's kind of insane. Cole, how's it going, Cole? Are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, I'm over 18.
Dis-
And um, what's like your definition of woke?
being aware of racial and social injustice against black people.
See, like, I just don't think it's a good thing to even really think about the differences of race. Like, I don't really like. I would argue there's only one race.
Yeah,
So like, just
sure. Like,
arguing that there's a difference,
mhm.
like in itself, is like making it's making people divide themselves. It's like There really is only one race.
Let me ask you a
There is
question.
no difference.
Let me ask you a question. Who created the racial paradigms?
Um, that's, I mean, you're kind of, I don't even know what that is. Racial paradigms, can you define that?
Me being classified as black and someone else being classified as white or Asian, etc. Who created that?
Not me. I don't believe in that.
No, I understand that. I'm asking you who created it.
I don't know. Who is it?
Europeans during colonialism, they created it. So
Okay, so like,
this
so
in
like
this entire
country?
system, yeah. So
Like
this
one
entire
country or
right. So
country?
this entire system that we live under, it was created hundreds of years ago, and we're just living in it now, right? But
What system?
the reason why we still think about it is the fact that because of the way I look like this, there are certain stereotypes that come with me, no matter what I do. I can go on my life, trying to not think about it, but I can't do that because the way that I look has effects. Now, you may have the privilege to not think about it, but I have to because my existence in this society is political, and it always
Okay,
has been.
what's the difference between you and somebody who looks different from you? Like, what's one difference that you guys have? Like
Um,
biologically, like, do you guys have different DNA?
oh no. I'm not saying there's a biological difference. We're talking about the social construct of it. Yeah, we're not
Yeah, I'm
biologically
saying the
different.
social construct is an idea that, like, I remember when I first got into school, like as a kid, no kids even see a difference. You just see other kids, and then you learn about this thing
Hmm.
called race. And
Hmm.
I disagree. I don't believe in race. I think there's one race.
No,
We're all the same thing.
that's very nice to think, right? That I have no problem with it, with you thinking that. That's very nice to think. But at the end of the day, it's not the reality that we live in. This socially constructed thing that we call race does have effects. Like, for example, Oprah is a billionaire, right? But she was
Okay.
followed in a store because people thought she was going to steal.
Okay.
Why they thought she was going to steal? Because she's a black woman, or what we classify as black. So
Okay.
it does have effects. You can say that we shouldn't think about it, but we have to because slavery did happen, right? And Jim Crow did happen, right?
And
Redlining
see,
did
that's the
happen.
effect. This is the effect of people believing that there is a difference, that they believe that they're different from somebody else, that they believe that they're a different race from somebody else. That's
Yeah,
their own belief.
I
That's the
don't disagree with you.
cause
Yeah, I don't
of
disagree with you.
them.
That's what caused it. I don't disagree with you. But the thing is, in our society right now, these things still have effects. And until those effects go away, we have to talk about it because I can say, let's not talk about race all day, but black people still get redlined to this day. So us not
See,
talking about
like
it doesn't solve that problem.
I'm not gonna disagree that there aren't people who hate black people.
Hmm.
I won't say that there aren't people out there, but those people are wrong. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like the argument shouldn't come from a place of like arguing that people are a victim of other people. Because like I was born white, yes, but it's like that doesn't mean I've done anything else that like other white people have done. So
No
kind of
one's
like
claiming that though. No one's really claiming that. I'm pretty sure there are people who claim that, but any serious person who talks about these issues seriously, they're not gonna say, Cole, the random white guy from wherever you are, is responsible for redlining. No one's saying that.
see, but like I just don't I just don't agree with that's why I don't agree with like the woke. I just feel like the argument isn't logical because I don't really think you could logically debate that there is a difference
But that's not what
in
woke is
race.
about.
Like,
No one's saying that we have biological differences in race. That's not what woke is.
but that is kind of like I feel
No,
like the
it's not
way
kinda at all.
people
That's not what it is.
divide. I mean,
When people talk about being woke, like I said, it's about racial and social injustices against black people. Did that happen?
well, so what are the goals that
Well,
want
hold on. I just want to
the woke
answer. I just
agenda?
want you to answer this question: racial and social injustice against black people. Did it happen?
Yes, of course.
You're woke.
That's, I mean,
That's literally
I
what it
don't think
is.
that's the definition of woke.
That
Like,
is.
I gotta search it up.
But hold on. But you understand the term "stay woke" came from the black community, right?
I guess I agree with that definition, but I think there's other definitions. Like when I
Right. There
hear
are
woke,
other
that's not what I
definitions.
think
There
of.
are other definitions. I agree. There are other definitions. The problem is that those definitions were co-opted, or they were the only utility that they have is to be racist. That's really the only utility. Like for example, um, you know the recent Assassin's Creed game, right? The one that had Yasuke, the Black Samurai, in it, an actual historical figure in it, right? But when it came out, there was huge backlash against it, and they said that Ubisoft is going woke. Why exactly would they say that?
Um, you're talking about like because they made a character that wasn't black before
No,
black
Yasuke is
showed up.
black. Yasuke is black. That's an actual black samurai. There actually was an African person in Japan named Yasuke. That was a real thing. However, when Assassin's Creed went ahead and made a game about him, the game fandom, the game nerddom, basically said that this is woke. Why exactly would they say that?
I don't know. I gotta have more context about the game. It couldn't be just that. It could be like more
It
about the
literally
game
was
itself.
just that. It literally was just that. And then once
Oh,
people
I'm taking your word just for like what you're saying. Then I have to agree with what you're saying.
right. So what I'm saying is that when woke left the black community and it got into, mainstream audiences, what happened is that it got co-opted by basically white conservatives like JD Vance, like Trump, like Marco Rubio, like Ron DeSantis, who had no idea what it meant and just said that it was a negative. Like that's where the modern mainstream definition came from. But for black folks, when we said stay woke, all we were talking about is being aware of how to move in society, being aware that there's social injustice against us, being aware that there's racial injustice against us. That's all it was about.
I mean,
The
I
mo
think there's a lot of injustices. There's just too many. Like, I have a problem with society as a whole.
Mhm.
Like, I agree. I mean, this is like a different point of view from the kind of things that I like my point of view. And it doesn't like I'm not necessarily like disagreeing with you. I guess I just don't like how like with like woke. When I think of woke, I think about like all the movies that are coming out that like I hate because it's just I can kind of predict there's gonna be like a classic like story that's kind of I don't know. It's just kind of
predictable.
not predictable. It's like designed for everybody to like it. I
Yeah,
think
that's what all movies do. That like that's what movies are about. They want money, so of course they want everybody to like it.
I
I'm not
mean
sure.
I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say because like movies before were like a lot like more like suggestive and like stereotypical, but the ones now are just like I'm trying to think of like a good example, like Wall-E. Wall-E was like a classic movie.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have anything to do with race at all, but it had
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful message about humanity, and it
Yeah,
just had like
humanity and
robots, and
environmentalism.
it was yeah, and that's all it was about. But
Yeah.
now a lot of
So
movies are about like feeling like a victim, and it's like a message that like tells me that I should feel like a victim,
can you tell me
and
one
I
movie
think
that
that
does that in the past year?
um, I think a a lot like um,
Like
K-pop. K-pop Demon Hunters is one of them.
I never seen that one, but isn't that just about a singing group killing demons?
Yeah, and that one's not even too bad. Like I just think, like I shouldn't even say that one, like because I kind of I look like that one, but um, I don't really watch a whole lot of movies these days, honestly, because of that. Like I stopped watching movies. Like the only one I've seen was Superman. Like Superman wasn't woke. It was not about race at all. It was about humanity. And that's what like I'm saying is
What do you
is
think
making
woke
these
is?
movies
Because
terrible.
I'm not understanding what you think woke is. Is because it seems like you think woke is basically, you know, we acknowledge that race is a thing. Why would
I
that be a
think
bad thing?
I think it's a victim like mentality that it's like teaching people to see to like be hyper vigilant to things that are in the world, but like now like we're hyper vigilant to it. Like we're always like
Yeah, we should be.
things that people used to say that would like sound normal and were innocent are like now people would like raise an eyebrow to it. It's like
Yeah, we
almost
should.
like
That means that the society is getting better.
no, I mean, I think it's more judgment. Society has more judgment and like speculation about each other. Like we don't trust each other as much anymore.
Now, okay, here's one thing I give you, right? There are some have there been some overcorrections, right? There are people who seem who take things to be much more sensitive than what we would say. Yeah, sure, I can say that, right? I can say yeah, some on a few things. Maybe if we go down a litany of lists, there are some things where we be like, okay, we've been oversensitive now. Yeah, sure, we can say that, right? But when we talk about the way people speak to each other, you know what I mean, to cause as less harm as possible, why would that be a bad thing? I could get oversensitivity, right? I
I
could
don't
get that.
think
I get the
I don't
point of being oversensitive about something, right?
I wouldn't
Because
argue with
no
being
one,
thoughtful about how people speak. Like being
right?
thoughtful with the way you speak is a very good thing.
Hmm.
I'm not arguing that. I think that's not what I'm trying to like talk against. Like
Yeah, so I'm trying to just understand where your mind frame is coming from, because when you say woke and you say Superman was not about race, like Lex Luthor was literally a racist. He hated Superman for being an alien. Like he was a racist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's I can extrapolate race from that, right? We can do the same thing with Avatar, The Way of Water, the one that came out the other year. Like it's all about the humans invading another planet and trying to take it over. It's, you know, we could extrapolate environmental messages from that, colonialism, because Avatar is definitely about colonialism. You know what I mean? The blue people in that movie, they're an allegory of Native Americans, and the humans are an allegory of the Europeans. So even that's kind of about race and colonialism and war profiteering and corporatism and stuff like that, right? So we can take a
like
lot of messages from that.
I think like your definition of woke, like the definition of words these days, like doesn't even it's not even like solidified. Like woke, like people use that in different contexts, and
Hmm.
so when I think of woke, like immediately, like one of the first things I think of is like people letting like men into women's bathrooms, and that's like the kind of issues that like I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but who said that though? Like we didn't say that. The community where this
Well, I
term,
mean,
the community where this term came from.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
I
So
think
what I'm
when you
saying
put
is,
it up here
right,
on your
right.
like
I got
page,
you. Hold on.
hence why I joined.
Let me just explain. So the community that this term came from, we never said it was about transgender issues. We never said that. So who made that up? Who said that? It was.
It's not necessarily just one specific group of people. It's not just about black people anymore. It's not just about like it used to be like,
Yeah,
you know, in
that's
the
the problem.
50s, the civil rights, it was like women's rights,
Hmm.
blacks, African American rights. It's all these different groups of people that were minorities in the past that, I mean, in like we're getting to a point where white people will eventually be the minority population,
Yeah. So what?
and it doesn't have anything to do with that, but it's just the fact that certain people were given an ideology to
Mhm.
believe that they think that they're entitled. This is like what I believe this because I was fed this same kind of mentality, just
That
in
you're
different
entitled to
aspects,
what?
like not
You're entitled to what?
just I think like psychology tells me, like from what we know about how babies grow up, is it's called king baby. Like Sigmund Freud kind of talks about it. And certain people, if you don't get the I don't know, I guess like love and nurturing when you grow up, you can, you still have these king baby traits.
Okay,
And like
yeah, sure.
everybody has that.
Yeah, sure. We can go into that, but when it comes to being woke, right? You said you think about stuff like men's going into women's bathroom, like that. That's I like the whole bathroom thing is silly. It was never a thing until conservatives brought it up, right? Like no one ever said, creepy guys should be entitled to use women's spaces. No one ever said that.
The
So
thing
it's
is
like
though, like no, you aren't saying that. You aren't saying that, but the
no
thing
one
is
is
like
saying
there
that.
aren't
No one is.
no there you
Hold on.
I don't
Hold on.
think
Hold on. Cole.
nobody is
Wait.
not
Cole.
saying that.
Hold on.
People are
Cole.
arguing
Cole.
this.
Listen. Can you name me some organization, a serious organization that actually does activism, that says that creepy ass men who want to prey on women have a right to go into the bathroom, into their restroom? Is there really an organization that powers that?
When I say men, I say people that identify as transgender men.
Oh, transgender. They've always used the women's restroom. That's always been a thing.
Okay, wait. So were you just gaslighting me, or were you actually thinking that I was like talking about
No, I wasn't
like
gaslighting you because that's what you said. But when you're talking about transgender people, like transgender women, they've always used the women's restroom. That's always been a thing. We just never noticed. Like I'll tell you right now, because I actually know a few transgender women, and they will tell you themselves they've always gone to the women's restroom. No one ever noticed. As a matter of fact, this whole bathroom thing made it worse because there are women who are not transgender who are being assaulted now in bathrooms. As a matter of fact, a black woman was killed for being a quote unquote transgender woman going into the bathroom, and she wasn't transgender.
Wait, host, do you think America's more hyper traditional now than it was in the 50s?
Give me a second. It's not your turn yet. So yeah, there are yeah. So when it comes to the whole bathroom thing, right? Like this wasn't a whole issue until conservatives made it an issue, because transgender women always went into bathrooms, and now that people think that they can know who's transgender, now someone got killed for it. You see what I'm
honestly,
saying?
like I'm not gonna lie, like listening to I get just like hearing about like seeing society and like the way people are going, and like this conversation is just kind of making me like give up. And you guys can like make all the movies you want and like do whatever. I'm just gonna kind of like try to like find a different society, because I don't know, like I don't think I'm not gonna argue anymore. Like I'm not really, I am being very rude, and I'm sorry.
Bro, no.
I
I
mean, no,
just
you're not being rude. I think you're a nice guy. It's just that perspectives are different, which is fine. We should always discuss these different
like if the
perspectives. Like
thing is,
that's
I'm
okay.
just realizing if this is what the majority of America really thinks. I don't think this is the majority of what America thinks, but if this is what the majority and what people are trying to get convinced into, then I don't really
I'm not
know.
sure what you're.
Is
I'm not
always
sure.
there.
Hold on. Everybody pause. Everybody pause. I'm not sure what you think I'm trying to convince you to do. The only thing that I'm talking about is that yes, there's racial and social justice against black people that we need to address. Us ignoring that is not going to solve that problem. And as
So
far
how do you want to
as hold on,
solve it?
the way that we solve it is by doing this, having these type of dialogues, having these type of conversations, and coming up with solutions on how we change systemic issues and how we change
Well, what's the
structural issues.
solution? Can you give me like an idea? That's like, what is a solution?
Yeah, sure. And when it comes to the criminal justice system, right, we need to go ahead and reform the entire system, like break it all the way down and rebuild it back up, and make it a system of equality and not something that targets black people. Like for example, the one policy that we should get rid of is the war on drugs, because the aides of Nixon have admitted that the war on drugs was supposed to target black people and hippies, and we see that they succeeded in that. Right, so that's a policy that we can get rid of and we can change, and that's something that actually affects poor whites too, because poor whites are also targeted by the war on drugs, and poor white people are also targeted by the criminal justice system. You know what I'm saying? For basically, because the criminal justice system right now is about slavery. The 13th
Well,
Amendment
that's
even
not
said so.
that's not about any race at all. Like you're talking about white people and
Right,
black
right,
people.
yes,
And
but
it's about all
right,
minorities
I got you.
who
But
are
Cole,
poor.
listen to my question. Who does it target the most, disproportionately?
Just poor people,
Poor people
like
who look
people
like
who
what?
are poor
Who
people
look like me,
probably who
Cole?
like
It's
probably who
poor
don't
Poor
have
people.
people
like
is
very
speaking
Hold
good
on, hold on, hold on.
credit.
Everybody pause. Everybody pause. Everybody pause.
You're looking for an
Cole,
answer.
hold
The
on,
answer is that
hold on.
black people are more
Hold on. Here,
disproportionately poor. Therefore, it's
yes,
going to
it's
disproportionately
gonna
affect
it's
black people.
gonna disproportionately affect black people. Exactly. Poor people who look like
Does
Okay,
me.
that
and
make
so
it
wait,
race?
and
Does
so
that
what
make
is
it
a black
racist in your
Heritage,
opinion?
heritage, heritage, heritage. It's not your turn.
what is a black person? Because I mean, I look just like you. Like,
Turn
so
your camera on.
what is
Turn your camera on.
I can't. It says
Hmm.
I need to.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that. All right. We are past 15 minutes, so I do gotta drop you, Cole. I appreciate you being up. All right, Heritage, you might be my last guest. It's been slow tonight, so I might get off soon. What were you asking me? You said, do I think America is more traditional than it was back in the 50s?
Yeah, like if we were going to continue to go on that, I did want to talk about another topic, but we could sort of like briefly sort of go on that. But yeah, I did ask, do you think America's more sort of focused on like maintaining like traditional status quo, like right now, or in like let's just say 1955, like during like the Red Scare, during like the hyper time of traditionalness that like people who love tradition point to.
I think right now they're trying to get back to that time. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, and that's sort of what I was saying. That like people, the 1950s is just like the stereotypical time. Sort of like people watch sitcoms and they're like, oh, like society was so great.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like I sort of don't buy this idea that like, let's say the year's 1957 and you're in New York or New Jersey or something like that, just anywhere really, uh, and that the average woman would have been less repulsed by by like a viewing a male in a space that is like supposed to be confined for women. So like I don't think a woman in the 1950s would have just had no idea about what a male who's trying to identify as a woman looks like. And I don't think you could point to anything that would say that like a woman of today is going to be more repulsed and more likely to call the cops on a male in their space than a woman in the 1950s. Like imagine women in the 1950s, these like racist Karens had cell phones. You don't think they're calling the cops or macing some male in their bathroom? Of course they are. So like I just don't buy this thing that like we've worked ourselves up into a point in society where like trans women aren't safe in spaces because most definitely would not have been safe in any other time in American history.
No, I agree.
Okay, all right. Okay. Then we're on the same page.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone disagrees with that. Like the transgender people I spoke to and trans activists I spoke to, they said, yeah, it was way worse back then. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Okay, great. I then it's on me. Then I probably just misconstrued what you were saying. But just to move on, I am interested in the first prompt about America's greatness.
Right, America was never great.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, so one's position on that prompt is going to sort of boil down into what do they mean by great? So, like, sort of definitionally, I think it's been a while since I've actually looked up the definition, but I think it says something like above the norm or something like that, like or like exceptionally above the rest or something like that. That's what like Oxford defines greatness as. Um, and sort of like when I apply like American first principles and like see like if those sort of meet the bill about like exceptionally above the rest, I think American first principles really do meet that criteria because I mean let's just look at like the extraordinariness of like the American situation is that American first principles were put down in our founding documents in a time where slavery was the absolute norm, where most of our like even today who are touted as our most enlightened founders were slaveholders, and yet these same very propositions that people like Jefferson and other slaveholding founders put forth in our founding documents were the same exact verbatim ideals that all preceding or following, my bad, following suffrage and civil rights movements used to appeal for their own liberty. So Martin Luther King did not have to skew the words of the Declaration of Independence. Dred Scott did not have to. Like he implored that the Constitution was a liberty-loving document. I forget the exact phrase.
Okay, so so this is what gets to my point, because you mentioned Dred Scott and Martin Luther King, all of them, right? Because these were the words of the document, and these were the words of the fathers, and everything like that. Did we live up to it?
Well, did we? Yeah, no. I mean,
Exactly. So that's why I say number one, America was never great because we never lived up to it.
Okay, well, look, I think it's just a bit more nuanced than that. Like, it's sort of like taken to like a wider perspective about like the actual time and history at which our country was founded, in like a wide scale. Like our country was founded like 100 years before slavery would be abolished in any place whatsoever.
Wrong. Well, actually, no, you're actually right. Well, actually, no, wait. When America was founded 76, right?
Yeah, 1776.
Yeah.
I think
So it was actually about 30 years before it got abolished in the West.
Okay, yes, because there is some nuance behind that, because like the slave trade itself was abolished prior to slavery.
Yeah.
So like
I'm talking about
America-
I'm talking about a country that actually abolished slavery. Like
yes,
there's a country that did it in
America
1804.
abolished slave. Yeah, yes. What was that? Britain or no? Was it Haiti?
It was Haiti.
Yes, yes. After their, I mean, yeah. That's. I mean, look, if you know obviously you do, but it's just, it sort of seems like an intuitive thing that a society formed by revolting slaves would
Well,
probably
abolish it.
be the. Yeah, it would probably be the first society to outlaw slavery.
Right.
Yeah, because they're all the founders are coming from slavery. So yeah, I mean, obviously, kudos to them for that. But like outside of that sort of situation, so like I think it was like in the late 1810s, early 1820s that America abolished the slave trade. Obviously, slaves were still able to be held, and this made slaves a more like a bigger resource, honestly, and they were treated almost worse after this point. But it just shows that like from the founding of our country, that like this was a turning point in not just like the history of like America or the West. It's a turning point in the history of humanity. It's the first point where people are first starting to see each other in a lens that it might even beg to question. Maybe we cannot own them like this. And those are the sort of like the people who founded our country, not all of them, but a lot of them, were struggling with this question. Like if you read Thomas Jefferson, like if you didn't know that he ever owned slaves, you would read his writings and think he did not own slaves.
He did not, but he did. Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, Jefferson and a lot of the first presidents were basically hypocrites, right? But yeah, when I say America was never great, that's what I'm talking about. You know, us not living up to the principles that the founding fathers laid out, and not only that, actively working against it, like the Jim Crow era and redlining, and even up until today, people refusing to say that redlining actually did affect African Americans till this day. That people still refuse to say that. Matter of fact, there are people who say that redlining didn't even target African Americans, even though we know it did. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that shows to me that we can be better. I agree with that. We 100% can be better. We've shown it. The civil rights movement showed it. You know what I mean? So we can be better, but we're not there yet.
Well, see, like this, I'm not sure if you'll agree with me. You can let me know, but like I do agree with you. Obviously, like the next 200 years of our country, I hope, is just a history of our progress, like both like moral, like industrial, like all these sorts of things. But like I just feel that like in getting better, it will be towards a more stringent application towards our principles, like these sort of like natural rights philosophy. that holds views that like it's just self-evident, that it's so obvious that it does not even need like defense, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. That like the betterment and treatment of people in this country is going to be towards a more pure, direct application of that sort of philosophy. And to me, that's what makes America great. But it just shows that Americans have not always been great, because like the word hypocrite is a perfect word to describe people like Jefferson, but it's a word that also just applies sort of like universally towards humans. So it's like why did Jefferson talk the way he did but still acted the way he did? Well, it's because his entire livelihood was
built upon it. Yeah.
Was funded on slaves.
Basically, yeah. No,
He
you're right.
wasn't like John Adams. Like he wasn't farming his own field. He was too obsessed with gathering giant collections of books, building his own mansion. So like he was able to like understand the moral tide that was happening, and he agreed with it. And if you read like letters of his to like abolitionists, like he literally agreed that, like the future of America. Yeah, the future of America was an anti-slave country. He was
Gotcha.
just
Yeah, Heritage, it does seem that we agree mostly. It's okay. I'll go ahead and talk to Clockbreaker now.
Absolutely, I'll give you a follow. I appreciate a good conversation.
Hey, not a problem. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.
All right, Clockbreaker, how's it going? I think you may be my last guess, as a matter of fact. You said that you disagreed with number 3. Number 1, well, first, you are over 18. I mean, you are 18 or over, correct? Clock, you there? Clockbreaker, you're on mute. I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself. Go ahead, Clockbreaker, you there?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I was sidetracked. I was talking to my daughter. I do that while I'm waiting for my turn. I get sidetracked into a whole nother conversation.
Not a problem. All right. You said that you disagree with number 3. Why is that?
Because I can't understand why leftist policies are better for society. Because when I think society, I think worldly. So I don't understand how leftists can decide for the world.
Oh, okay. Well, the policies that I'm talking about are the policies that make life easier, or make living life a bit easier within any type of economic paradigm, right? Like, for example, a lot of leftist policies that I advocate for are things like universal health care, universal education, guaranteed housing, workplace democracy, ending the war on drugs, rehabilitative justice in our prison industry. I think like these will make things better for society. For example, if we had universal health care, we'll have more people doing preventative measures, going to the doctor, having a therapist that they can talk to about any issues that they go through. Universal education basically means that daycare, pre-K, it's open for anybody, so parents can take their children to pre-K and stuff like that. Workplace democracy is basically companies that are thousands of employees. The employees themselves can make decisions on how their workplace is run, how they're most comfortable. They can vote in their managers, things like that. You know what I mean? And they can see where the profits are going. So that means that the employees of the company can invest those profits into their society or in education or in things like that. You see what I'm saying? So these are some of the measures I think will make society better.
Or even a church.
Hmm?
Even a church. We can invest in yet another church. How about a corner liquor store? Anyway, I'm digressing. Everything that you just said, I'm down with. Did you ever hear of a party called the Unicorn Party? Did you ever hear of a candidate named Jasmine Sherman? You never heard of him?
No,
you
ma'am,
never
I have
heard of
not.
the Unicorn Party? Jasmine Sherman? Wow, that is amazing, because they offered everything that you just said, and I do mean everything on your list. And you know what else they added? They added one small caveat. They offered land back. They had a whole written out compressive listing of exactly how it would work, the benefits to everybody. the exact dollar amounts broken down per region, because you know we got 50 of them things. We call them states. But anyway, this whole political party came together and did this. It was advertised as a Black Swan event, and it got lost in the sauce between red, blue, left, or right.
Mhm.
It completely got lost. Anyway, that is where I am on what you just said, and that is why I did not agree with number 3, because I know that we have been offered better on more than one occasion,
Mhm.
but we will not take it because we have panels like this to come together. Like when Cardi B was trying to get everybody to go with Bernie Sanders, and then Bernie Sanders took all of that that was given to him on a silver platter that was melanated and gave it over
Mhm.
to the DNC and said, down to a sound bite, if you don't, you ain't black if you don't vote me, blue,
Mhm.
something like that. I forget how it was worded, but oh my gosh. Oh, I was insulted. I was insulted. My intelligence was insulted.
Mhm. All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, but that's why that's what I meant by that. Those policies, which are considered leftist in America, which are considered pretty normal everywhere else, but in America they're considered leftist. They will be better for our society. We should have that. We should have parental leave. You know what I mean? I believe that parents should spend at least 90 days with their newborn. You know what I mean? I believe that
You know,
we should
I
have.
have worked for companies that will pay you $5,000 and give you all of that parental leave that you are mentioning
Mhm.
to have a baby. Did you know that? There are companies out there doing that.
Mhm. There are companies out there doing that. I agree, but I believe that this should be a law for our country, our society. Newborn, like parents with newborns, by law can spend 90 days with their newborn. I think that
Okay,
should
I don't.
be a.
I'm not trying to denigrate what you're saying.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to denigrate what you're saying. But why would you have to write in law what is the responsibility of your employer? Like, if you don't like what your employer is doing, this is what unions was made for.
Mhm.
You find a new employer that is doing it correctly.
Right. I agree with like that sounds pragmatic, right? But before unions was a thing, people made that same argument that you're making. If you don't like that your boss is making you work 14 hours a day and that your 7-year-old kid needs to work too, just quit and find another job. But we know that
We did
corporations are
that.
the
When we
right,
were allowed to leave the plantation, we did that.
right, right,
When there was no slave catcher to bring you back to the company
right.
town,
Exactly,
we
exactly.
did that.
We did that exactly.
Right.
I understand,
And
but
right now in
but
2025, there's no gates, there's no fences. It's
right,
just
right.
imaginary
But
lines with cops sitting at the
but
border
a
to
lot a
check
lot
your
of
car
right, right.
and
A lot of
ask you
the
why you were coming into their
all right.
state.
Give me a second. A lot of the things that we do not that we have nowadays, they were put into law basically. Like for example, the 40-hour work week and overtime pay. All that was made to put into law. Before it was made into law, people said the same thing that you're saying. Just go to a company that does it.
Right.
We had to make it a
Right.
law because we know that companies are put profit over people and they race to the bottom. You see what I'm saying? So we had to force them to do the right
We
thing.
had to make it a law because they had turned them into company towns that they would not allow you to leave if you had borrowed from the company store. You follow the thought process, because you saying the same thing that I'm saying, but I'm telling you where it stems from, the core of it, and why we can't do that today and have no reason to do that today, because we don't want to make new company towns where they can keep you until you pay off the company store.
Right, right. No, we shouldn't do company towns. But what I'm saying is that if we put it into law that we put into law parental leave, you know what I mean? Like parents with newborn babies
You
can
want to
spend 90
put
days. Hold on, hold
into
on.
law
Let me
what
finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
parents are allowed to do with
Let
their
me just
children.
finish. Let me just finish.
Okay,
That's
I'm
not what I'm.
sorry.
That's not what I'm. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like as far as our workplace goes, as far as employment goes, as far as jobs goes. Like companies now have to do a 40-hour work week and overtime, et cetera, et cetera. and offer insurance when they get to a certain size, et cetera, et cetera. That's part of the law. What I also want to be part of the law is parental leave, meaning that if parents have a newborn child, you can give them leave for 90 days, paid leave for 90 days. That's what I think we should put into law. I think that would be better for parents because they can spend more time with their children. I also believe that we should put into law universal education, meaning
okay,
that
sir.
we pay for
see-
elementary school
see
and we
my
also pay for
disconnect
pre-K.
in the thought process.
Hmm?
Let me understand. Let me help you understand why I'm not letting you finish the question. Okay, I am from New Jersey, and what we call what you just described is unemployment. That is actually done through the unemployment office. They put your maternity leave, your sick leave, your FMLA all through the unemployment office. Now, here is the disconnect. Here is the disconnect. You have people who work for each side of the entity, and they have formed a beef against one another. And the trick has come to somehow, some way, find a way to make the billing process as difficult as possible between one another. That is the disconnect we have in New Jersey with exactly what you are describing, that have put in the rules, the laws, and the bylaws. That's why we love having babies in New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great for New Jersey. We don't have that in Florida. You see what I'm saying? I think that should be nationwide.
And it all makes sense. I am sorry. I will stop disturbing you. I understand exactly now what you are talking about. And also that unicorn party that I was telling you about,
Mhm.
it began right there in Florida. The DOJ lady that is now giving us problems
Mhm.
on the Senate floor, she started right there in Hillsborough, Florida. Florida is the problem. And
Okay.
on that note, I'm going to go because I'm going to distract from your conversation.
No,
I
not a
just
problem.
don't agree with number 3. I love you, though.
Not a problem. Love you too. Have a good night. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to get out of here soon. I appreciate everybody who was here. You guys are amazing. You guys are great. Sweater Ninja, I appreciate you being here, man. I appreciate you being here, Sweater Ninja. Go ahead and drop me a follow. I do these every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here and get some homework done and eat some food. Hopefully, yeah. I got off early tonight, so yeah, my wife should be too mad at me, so because I got off early tonight. But I appreciate y'all being here. Simply Lovely, I appreciate you being here. Sweater Ninja, I do appreciate you being here as well. Anyone who watched me over on YouTube, I appreciate you joining me there. You guys are amazing. You guys are wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the night. I encourage everybody to be soft. And what I mean by be soft, means to be smart, be observant. Remember that you are fallible. So always remain thoughtful. All right. You guys have a good night. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all.